Hello students, welcome back to the second part of the video on this lesson, that is the treasure within. In the first part we have learned so many things about Hafiz contractor about his school days, about what type of student he was, about his real life experiences. We learned that he was not so much interested in studies. He used to get nightmares about his mathematics exam. He was very scared of that subject. We read about a lot of things, and I've asked you some questions also. I told you to think of the answers. Well, in the second part, we are going to discuss more about that conversation, and we are going to discuss about how Hafiz contractor entered architecture. Now you may think, it makes us wonder when we think that a student like Hafiz contractor, who was not at all interested in studies, how such a student got into the field of architecture and became one of India's famous architect. Let us try to know what was the story behind that. Okay, so the journalist asks him about how he got into architecture. How did you get into the field of architecture? Then he tells her that in the college for architecture, no students scored below 80 to 85%, who scored more than 80 to 85% were allowed to enter. That means minimum criteria was 80 to 85% marks in the SSC, whereas Hafiz happened to get only 50%. Then he says that he wanted to join the army. He got the admission letter as well, but his aunt didn't like that idea. She tore up the admission letter, and then he changed his decision. He wanted to join the police force. And then his mother advised him not to join the police force. Instead of joining that, he should complete his graduation. So he joined the Jai Hind College in Bombay to complete his graduation. Now in the college there was a problem. He had to choose one between two languages, that is either French or German. He says that he took French for 7 years. He studied French, but he did not know even 7 words of French. So he changed. He took German. Unfortunately, his German teacher died, and the college didn't give him any option. The college told him to take French. If not, he could change the college. Now the problem with him was, where will he go with that 50% marks? Let me tell you one thing here, students. The percentage also matters. It's not everything, but it also matters. See how Hafiz contractor struggled with less percentage. So when your parents tell you to focus on the performance, work hard, you should take their words seriously. And then he decided that he will take French, and this time he decided to learn it from his cousin, whose husband was an architect. So he used to go to the architect's office. He usually visited that to take French lessons. Now how he entered architecture is not intentionally, okay? It was by chance. See, when the journalist asks him, was it then that you decided to do architecture? And he says that it all happened by chance, not by planning. By chance it happened. Someone was making a drawing there of window detail, and he says that window detail is a very advanced drawing. He had a bet with that man who was drawing it, and he won the bet. He challenged that person, saying that you have a mistake there in the drawing, and that person was an expert. He was a professional. He was not willing to accept that, and finally what happened? Hafiz contractor won the bet. Sometimes we bet with friends. Sometimes when you watch a cricket match, you have a bet. You see India will win, someone will say Australia will win, and what happens? One of you will win the bet. So Hafiz contractor won the bet, and this incident made his cousin's husband very surprised, and he made him draw some more things, and he did that. He made him design a house. He did that, and then his cousin's husband advised him to leave everything and join architecture. Then they went to meet the principal of the college for architecture. Principal agreed to allow him for the entrance exam, but warned him that if he didn't perform well in the entrance exam, then he will not be allowed to join the college. And he did well. He got an A+. Okay? And he says that after that it was a smooth going for him. Cakewalk means the way was smooth for him after that. Problems were less. I had never made a plan, but I knew how something looked like from the top. He said he never made a plan like that, no planning like that, but he knew how something looked when he viewed it from the top. And then he did not know what is a section, but he knew that if he cuts that plan, he will get a section of it, a part of it. He stood first in the class and he continued with that first position. I believe that all this understanding came from what I used to play and do during school. He says that all these understandings which he utilized came from those activities which he did when he was in the school. He had a friend, he talks about a friend called Behram Divecha, and he says that he and Behram, both of them, they used to have competitions between them to design forts, guns, ammunitions, means bullets and all. And each of them tried to design it in their own way so that it would be different. Then he tells about an incident when he was in second or third standard, where one of his teachers told him, after looking at his sketches, told him that in other things you are useless, other activities, but your sketches are very good. You do one thing, in the future you try to become an architect. And he says that after becoming an architect, he went to meet his teacher and told her that, as she advised, now he is an architect. Just imagine how nice the teacher would be feeling. Why do you think you did not like studies? Was it because you felt you could not cope, could not deal with the curriculum? Then she asks him, the reporter asks him that, why were you not interested in your studies? Why? Because you could not adjust with your studies, or you could not manage with the curriculum. Cope means manage. Curriculum talks about the school subjects, the course that is prescribed for a particular class. Then he tells that he was very bad at language subjects, English, Hindi, like that. Science and geography somehow he could manage, but mathematics was very bad. He says that he was not interested. He was just studying for the sake of studying, namesake, we say, no? And he could not remember those things because there was no application of those things in real life situations. Whatever he could apply in real life situations, he could remember that. But whatever he couldn't apply, he used to forget it. Then the question asked to him was, did you think what they taught you in school was boring, or did you feel that once you understood the concept of the lesson, then no need to go through the rest part of that? You lost interest in the rest part. Then he says, living in a hostel, boarding school, is difficult. They were just living day to day, just passing their days. Nowadays there are so many tests. Back then, whenever we had tests, we used to just copy. The teacher thought that we had done our work. So he says that nowadays teachers take lots of tests, but during those days tests were very less, and whenever there was a test we copied. The teacher never knew that, and he thought we had studied and we had written the answers. There is contention that giftedness and learning disabilities go hand in hand. Do you think this applies to you? Then she asks him that contention is belief or the view. There is a belief that learning disability and giftedness, someone who is gifted has some problem, some sort of learning disability. Do you agree that these things go together? And then he says that, well, some of the students of his class who used to stand first and second, today they are doing very ordinary jobs. To this question, to this answer, even the reporter says that she also got to know from her friends that those class toppers end up by doing some ordinary jobs. In school, I think living our lives there made us street smart. I have learned more by doing what I did on my own, then what academics would have taught me in the hostel. In the school, he says that he became street smart, means someone who learned to do things on his own. And he says that he learned to do things on his own more than what the academics, the school subjects, the courses taught him. Then the journalist asked him that it is because of his personality and skills. He had such personality and skills, and he was able to find expression in a manner he was comfortable with. He was able to find out a way to apply his skills. If needed, at times he defied, means he broke, he violated some rules in order to do what he wanted to do. I was more interested in other things. He says that he was interested in other things. Suppose while a class is going on, if it rained, he watched the rain and he thought of flowing water, he thought of constructing a dam, he thought of how much water the dam will hold. He used to think about those things, and that one interested him more. Whenever some students lost a button, he would replace that, cut same size with from a chalk, and he used to replace that button because the school was strict. They were supposed to wear very neat and clean and proper uniform there. The student would get past dinner with full neat uniform, and after that it did not matter. And so till dinner time that was must, and after that it did not matter much. Then the reporter asked him a question related to the present. She asked him that, how did you decide what kind of structure you want to give a client? Now as a professional architect, how do you decide which structure will you give to a particular customer? Client is the customer here. And then he said that he observes the customer very nicely, the way they talk, the way they dress, the way they eat, and then by looking at, observing all that, he is able to judge and find out what can be the choice of that person. And then he makes a sketch on a paper on that spot itself, and then that paper he gives to the people in the office. You do it instinctively. Instinctively is naturally, okay? So the reporter asked him, you do these things naturally, and he said that you can call it natural, you can call it arithmetic, mathematics, whatever. Now it comes to me, mathematics, putting design, construction, psychology and sociology together and making a sketch from all that is mathematics. Then he says that his definition of mathematics, okay, putting design, construction, psychology and sociology, everything mixed up and make a sketch out of that is mathematics for him. Here we almost come to the full circle where contractor had derived his own interpretation of mathematics. He has reached a level where he could give his own definition of mathematics, and this was his definition. He understood mathematics in that way. A subject which he scared most was the subject with which he was dealing in his profession, but in a different way. So in this lesson, we have learned a very valuable lesson that everyone has a talent in him or her, and if that talent is used properly, if someone is able to understand that talent and help out that student to come up, then that student will succeed. No one can stop that student from succeeding in life, as it happened with Hafiz contractor. His teacher in the second and third standard was able to understand his talent. Maybe at that time Hafiz contractor didn't take it seriously. Maybe at that time he did not know who is an architect. But see, in the future he became an architect. So students, we have to work on our talent. No, one thing let me tell you, it doesn't mean we have to violate the rules, we have to disobey someone, we have to do all the mischiefs. No, by following the rules properly, by being disciplined, by listening to the advice of elders, we can do it in a positive way. I'll end the video here. Thank you so much for watching this video.